You are listening to the Cognitive Preference Podcast, where we explore the fascinating ways in which our brains process information, make decisions, and perceive the world around us. My name is Robert Brown. I'm here with Francis Sopper, the originator of the Kairos Assessment, which is a series of questions that reveals how your brain prefers to think, listen, observe, move, read, and talk. You can take the assessment at kairoscognition.com to help you better follow along with the show. Today, we explore the realm of inherently slippery concepts, those ideas and beliefs that are difficult to pin down and define. We'll discuss how casinos use psychological tactics to keep you playing, the cognitive biases at play, and why our brains find it so hard to walk away. Enjoy. Frank, what do you mean by inherently slippery concepts?
There's so much that appears to us as certain that really isn't. So one of the classic ones is if you ask most people, flip a coin, they know 50-50, it'll be heads or tails. So flip it 3 times and it shows up 3 times heads, one after another, which is statistically possible. So then you ask somebody, what are the odds that it's going to be heads the 4th time? And most people will say higher odds that it's going to be heads than tails. It's still exactly 50-50. Because the coin doesn't know that it's been flipped heads 3 times. Every flip is 50-50. Now, over time, sometimes you get a run of heads, sometimes you get a run of tails, but if you do 10,000 flips, it's going to come pretty close to 5,000 over 10,000. But over a short run, it may look really unbalanced. It is statistically possible to flip that coin 10 times and have it show up heads 10 times in a row. That doesn't change the fact that if you keep flipping it for 10,000 times, and people have done that with machine flippers, and it won't come out 50-50.
There's a 50-50 chance of it, landing on heads or tails, but as humans, we have a tendency to overestimate the probability of the outcome, especially in the short run, when, as you mentioned, we see anomalies and we recognize patterns or streaks. Is that, are associative thinkers more prone to that? The associative process is more or less the rapid integration process. Our brains can search and recognize certain patterns very, very quickly to make decisions. And so that's why I raised the question, is this the anomaly going to show up more frequently with the associative side as opposed to sequential thinkers?
Yeah, that's fascinating. So just to make the point, the reason we have gambling casinos is based on exactly this slipperiness. So gambling casinos hire high-level mathematicians and statisticians to develop those games, develop those machines, and the statistical probability of when you go into one of those machines or go into a casino, the statistical likelihood is you're going to lose money at a rate of 5% an hour. That's how the casino makes money. You're basically going in, putting down money to play the games, and over time giving it away at 5% per hour. So it's a negative 5% interest rate per hour. Now, if you went into a bank and they said, okay, you can put your money in our savings bank here, but we're going to take 5% every hour out of your account. No way. But you walk into a casino and they're going to take away your money at 5% an hour. But they're going to do it in an irregular way so that you may walk in and you pull the slot and you make 300 times what you put in. Pull a slot, jackpot, and so that investment just went like you bought Apple stock at the beginning or invested in Warren Buffett in the beginning. You can have a single pull that looks like that. But over time, over the course of an hour, it will nearly always even out so that you're going to walk away with 5% less of your money than you walked in with. But even that's a little slippery because those things are designed so that some percentage of people, a very small percentage of people, will walk at the end of the night with what we call a windfall. They'll get a big payout. So they'll walk out and say, I had a great night. I was on fire. I was on a roll. I was on a lucky streak. Well, you were chosen by statistics to be that person, but it was completely random. And walking out next to you will be really sad-looking people who your gain was their corresponding or even more so loss. But that randomness, it's not random at all. It's designed according to very strict mathematical principles to give you the illusion sometimes of winning, the illusion of winning big, sometimes the illusion of losing big, where if you have the bankroll to stay in it over a long period of time and keep coming back, which is what they call whales at the casinos, the people who have enough money that they can win, they can lose, it doesn't matter. It's all entertainment. They will, on average, give away their money at a 5% rate of interest. But they're there, and either they don't understand that, and we tend to experience when we win, we tend to experience that in a different way than when we lose. So if we're losing small, win big, the win big gives us such a rush that we don't feel the losing small, that we don't remember the losing small.
Right, yeah, that's that small sample size that gets augmented and then you're making decisions, some pretty big decisions, right? That
right.
In some cases can end marriages, right? Especially the gambling scene. Again, is the associative mind more prone to this? Or is that small sample size getting augmented? Is that experience becomes a belief?
See this, yeah. So what's fascinating is casinos know this too. So they have games that are more short-term thrill games. That's the slots. So it's immediate context, immediate response. Put money in, pull, immediate response. Put the money in, pull, immediate response. And so that immediate experience in that context favors the associative. And then you have games like blackjack, which unfold slowly and they follow a visible mathematical pattern. You have 52 cards, you know exactly which ones, the ranks of the 52 cards. So there's a very strict rule and process to blackjack. Now, the way now you can know what the cards are. You can watch the certain cards being played. And in the old days, when they used a single deck, someone with a very good memory could memorize. Most of us can know all the cards in a deck, but could watch the cards being played out, the visible cards being played out, and then be able to recognize when in the game the kind of card you would need to win the next bet had all been played, so you wouldn't make that bet. Or you'd know the kind of cards you need to make the next bet, to win the next bet, are still sitting there in the deck waiting to be played. So you could calculate whether you had a higher level advantage or a lower level advantage. And the mathematician Edward Thorpe is, I think, the first person we know to have done that successfully and documented how he did that, and was really beating the house at Vegas for a while. But what happened when he was doing it, that ability to do hold that memory in your head and do the mathematical probabilities of what cards were possibly left in Las Vegas is called cheating. Some of us call it just being smart or being really good at math. But in Vegas, it's literally called cheating. And you'll have a couple of burly people stand behind you and invite you to leave. And that's what happened to Dr. Thorpe. And then when he released his... So then he'd start to go in disguise into casinos, but then they figured that out. But then he taught it to other people. So now when you go into a casino to play blackjack, they're constantly refreshing the deck, and they use 4 decks of cards. And right now, no one can keep that level of probability in your head. It's just not humanly possible. But it looks, the way the game unfolds in a very strict rule and process way, and you have a lot of control over whether you bet or not, favors the patient sequential process. And the other thing is the house is always going to win. It's rigged so that if you have 5 players around the table and the dealer is number 6, the game is set up so that the dealer is most often among the 6 to win, the way the rules are set up. So you can get an advantage if there are less skilled players at the table with you. You can get a slight edge. So the way they say it is, if you don't see a sucker at the table, it's you. Because there's a slight advantage to the more skilled players. But even then, the house, over time, the way the game is structured, the dealer is going to win for the house.
And on the flip side, you have the associative experience that's pulled more towards the slot machines. That's the sort of the unpredictable nature. Is that
Well,
right?
they're both unpredictable actually, but one has more of an immediate rush of reward.
Right, you're getting the hit of dopamine.
Yeah, and the other one makes you feel like your smarts are going to matter. And again, if you're if you're highly skilled and you sit at a blackjack table day after day after day after day, you're going to walk away with less money than you started. Now, when poker pays off is when, the World Series of Poker, when you're not playing against the house, when it's 4 or 5 people playing against each other, then one of them, money's going to move around, and one of them will take away more, or will take away the most.
Okay, that's it for today. As always, thank you for your time, Frank, and for everybody tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.